Welcome to the Geek Static. This is a book review of Ghostbusters: The Return. Ghostbusters: The Return was written by Sholly Fisch. It feels like I'm saying that name wrong. I probably am, and if I am, I'm sorry. But this unofficial non-canon novel was published in 2004 by ibooks. This story takes place after the events of the film Ghostbusters 2. Now, before we get into my overall thoughts, I'm going to give a brief summary. And while I do that, please comment down below and tell me if you have read this novel or if you've even heard of it. The Ghostbusters make a comeback in Ghostbusters: The Return. The city faces a rise in the supernatural once again. Xanthador, the ghostly creep, releases his minions to bring terror in the streets, fueling his energy for a potential takeover of the living realm. Peter Venkman, the crowd pleaser that he is, becomes the face of the Ghostbusters. The current mayor appreciates the Ghostbusters and he wants them to be part of his campaign. Elections are coming up and he would like the Ghostbusters to appear at one of his speeches. Meanwhile, members of the Independent Party are on the search for the perfect candidate to take the mayor's seat. With Ghostbusters on the rise in popularity due to a recent event that put them in the news, the party calls on Peter Venkman to be their man. It takes a little convincing, but Peter, thinking that the job will be easy peasy, accepts, and he chooses Winston Zeddemore to be his deputy mayor. As Xanthador ramps up his hauntings and two Ghostbusters are out busy with politics, Ray and Egon struggle to keep the streets clean. Hauntings that resemble familiar urban legends are terrorizing the people of New York. And now, I'm going to get into my overall thoughts. Make sure you hit that thumbs up or that thumbs down, whichever you prefer. I had absolutely no idea what to expect with this novel. I love the original film. It is my favorite film of all time. I don't expect anything to be as good as that first Ghostbusters movie. Of course, I love Ghostbusters 2. I love the real Ghostbusters, the cartoon series, but those, they pale in comparison with that original film. So my expectations for this novel, they were set very low. If there is anything that the Disney Star Wars canon taught me, it is to tame my expectations. That said, this book wasn't bad. At times, the characters, specifically the Ghostbusters, would feel like they were the very characters from the film, while at other times they read more like the characters from the cartoon series. You have Slimer in this story, and he is definitely like the real Ghostbusters cartoon series version of Slimer. Janine, she's kind of like a mixture of Ghostbusters 2 meets the cartoon series. She was a little bit of an oddball. The inconsistency of the characterization of the Ghostbusters bothered me just a little bit. I kind of wish the author would have stuck to either the cartoon version of the characters or the film version of the characters. Now, I do love how Slimer was hanging around just like he was in the cartoon, with an angry Peter discrediting the little Spud. There's a moment with Slimer, though, that made me laugh out loud, so the book does have some humor. I'll just go ahead and tell you the part that made me laugh. Ray and Slimer give each other this secret handshake. Peter walks in and he says, how are we supposed to maintain any sort of credibility with the public if people come in here and find this ectoplasmic reject kicking back with a beer? I thought that was funny. In the film, Slimer is referred to as an ugly little Spud. That was funny, that was fine, but this book really took off with the word Spud and used it so many times, and it didn't even use it in the appropriate context. In this story, Lewis is a bumbling idiot. He acts like he has zero brains, and yes, in Ghostbusters 2, he has those moments, the silly stuff in the courtroom. He acts like a complete goofball, but in the book, he just kind of seemed too stupid. So I've made a few complaints, but the story is not bad at all. It's a good book. The tone of the story was just a little bit confusing. It would shift from sequel movie material to cartoon episode, and I don't know if that was intentional, maybe to bring in that nostalgia of all the Ghostbuster fans. A strange tale, but I'm overall happy to have read it. I like that this story didn't just focus on the Ghostbusters taking on a big bad villain. Of course, we did get that, but it dove so much more into the relationship between Peter and Dana. We've got Lewis and Janine. We get to see two characters take on a new challenge, politics. I like that the author made Peter and Winston the Independent Party, not a Republican or a Democrat, but somewhere in between. That was great. I love that this book didn't have a bunch of real-world political nonsense, no secret agendas or motives being pushed. It was clean, it was silly, it was fun, and I love the way that the story ended. Do I recommend that you read this book? Yes. Like I said, it was fun. It was an unusual story that did not discredit the material that came before it. For the rating of Ghostbusters: The Return, I give this story a B. And that does it for this review. Remember to hit that thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already so be notified when I post more videos. Check me out across all social media at The Geek Static. Have a good one.